You feel so accomplished right now, don't you?
Well,
Trixie's gonna run her off. Trixie, she don't want to love you.
I got a boxer and a longhorn at the same time.
Trixie, you're gonna get horned and you're gonna make Jolene uncomfortable.
Quite the accomplishment for someone who can't take care of the bigs, you know?
Stop, Ellie, stop. Now,
Okay.
all right, so problem is we have a horrible fly issue, which everyone's dealing with it. But we have this bovine sock. It's a rub that goes down their backbone. What we do is we have a chemical, a fly repellent, a flying insect repellent, that we douse this thing down with. It's oil-based, right? So whenever our cows come by and they go under this and it rubs down their back, that oil-based repellent will go down their back, which will help repel flies from them. So instead of us having to follow them around and spray them down, or they're flying around you right now too, aren't they?
Yeah.
I see you trying to get gnats off of you.
Yeah, they're sitting here.
They're gnats and they're horrible. So anyway, what I've done, you ready?
Yes.
So what I've done is I've rigged this up to go across here, a place all the cows have to pass if they want to eat, if they want to drink, if they want shelter or minerals, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll call them up in a few minutes and you'll see how they all come through here and they all rub as they come through.
How long does it stay on there before?
1 week. But since right now there's so many flies and there are so many gnats, I'm just coming over here every day and dousing it down. So
dousing it once, it'll be effective for 7 days?
I want you to come feel. It's a sponge. You can literally feel, and you feel the wetness in there, yes?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So it's a very dry and hot day, but this thing is coated down with that oil base. How's your hand smell? Like fly smell?
Yeah, very strong.
Yes. So here's the problem. On each corner, I've had to go up kind of high to tie it because it's heavy and it drags, right?
Yeah.
But both Waylon and Jolene are so small, they're going under the corners here, and it's not really dousing them very much. So what I told myself is I'm going to go ahead and leave it here for a couple of days, hit Gracie, and look at that, Ellie. You see that?
Do it again. Oh, yeah. That right there should show how, because I was skeptical, too, how it would be effective.
Smell my hands.
I already can. No, I'm kidding.
It is a very heavy chemical base, but it's safe. It's not poisonous. It's good for the animals. Anyway, I'm going to call them up as they come under. You'll see all of them rubbing on their back. But both Waylon and Jolene are sneaking come around the edges over there. But the good news is I can still spray Waylon and Jolene. They're small enough to allow me to spray them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm tongue-tied right now. You know what I'm saying?
How is this? I guess I'm trying to figure out. I get how it's more effective than spraying, I suppose.
So, listen, if I had to spray them every single day, I have to go down and find them. They don't like the spray. They don't like the hand spray. The noise of it scares them. They don't want to have you walking around, dousing them down. So this is the way they can come by. They can kind of treat themselves. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And they walk through here every day, several times a day. So without me having to go down to them several times a day, they come on their own to get their water, to get their food, whatever else they need, and they douse themselves down. All right.
Is there a way maybe you put a little bit of a blockade on this side and on that side so they have to go through the middle?
I could try, but I have a better idea. What I'm going to do is after about a week, lower it down a notch.
Okay.
So the other ones are already used to coming through. They'll be not so scared of it, and then lower it down a little bit more until eventually it's hitting all of them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm going to come by and douse it down one more time real good. Because here they come now.
That is a smart.
Back up a little bit. You'll be able to see them as they come through. Ah! Walk over here. Come on.
I think my dad's finally starting to work the way that I do. Well, he taught me the work smarter, not harder thing. Some call it lazy, but I call it efficient.
Just watch how smart Jolene and Waylon are, though.
This is the kind of project that I would do. Well, there's one going around the edge.
What?
She tried to go around the edge, but she can't fit.
You see it go down her backbone, though?
Sort of. But, all right. I guess they don't like it. Why else would they go around the edge? They don't want to touch it. Don't know. Trixie, come on, dear. Gross. All right, here's Gracie. I bet you Gracie tries to go around the edge, but she can't fit. She can't fit without touching it. Oh yeah, I see it grazing her back.
How bad the flies are.
You can gauge.
If the tails are whipping 100 miles an hour, then they're being bothered by flies. Now, they're not having to actual control. That's a is it called voluntary or involuntary, where the tails swish around naturally without them having to actually control them?
Involuntary, because voluntary is like
they're forcing it.
Yeah, voluntary is like you're volunteering to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the way to remember it.
So 2 ways that they can get flies off of them is they have a muscle shudder, so their body will like the muscle will like. Okay, that looks pretty stupid. But their muscles do like this real fast shake, and that will send flies off. But the flies come right back. Of course, the tail is kind of a swishing mechanism.
So you're saying the tail's an involuntary thing that just without them realizing it, they're just whipping?
Yeah, it just goes whipping and it controls their entire backside. Right now,
here, this right here is going to impress y'all. Oh, incompetent, terrified of the Bigs LE, right up next to a Longhorn. I can't believe it.
A lot lower, so you're more gentle.
Okay. It's okay. Hey, I'm just touching you. See? I touched her. You let me touch you, little girl? Hi, little cow. I'm right here. Hey, just right here. Aw, you're so adorable, huh? I think.
Ready?
Yep.
So with my fly sprayer, I can get it pretty close to him and spray him. So whatever, and I'll spray Jolene too. Whatever I can't get. Now I don't want to spray her right now around her head. You know why?
Well, don't get it all over the food and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. I was afraid if I sprayed her while her head was in the food, it would get all over her food. So once she turned away from the food and I sprayed her, now she has all of her.
Can you hold the camera real quick?
Hold the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 things I was going to show.
You got to get down real low for him, but the dog's not going to help at all. Yeah. And also, yeah, so I'm going to just, so I've never told you this, but I don't like it when we touch little bulls. And Waylon's a bull. Do you know why? Why? We always want to keep our hands off the bulls. Okay. So can I tell you why? Yeah. Okay, so I want to remind you, now right now you're at the age of 23, so you don't really care as much anymore. But I want to take you back to a time when you were probably, let's say 10, 11, 12, 13. How did it make you feel when your dad wanted to hug you, wrestle with you, love on you, play with you? Like when you were a little bitty boy, it was okay. It was fun and cute.
It embarrassed me. I felt that I was a big boy. I don't need to be all lovey-dovey anymore.
Yes. So I want you to notice how Jolene's horns are all been doused down. Now there's a couple of flies on the ends of her horns, but they're not really going to be an issue when it comes to anything. You feel so accomplished right now, don't you? Well, Trixie's going to run her off. Trixie, she don't want to love you.
I got a boxer and a Longhorn at the same time.
Trixie, you're going to get horned and you're going to make Jolene uncomfortable.
Quite the accomplishment for someone who can't take care of the bigs, you know?
Stop, Ellie, stop. You don't want a man who has to defend this herd from coyotes, from wild hogs, from mean dogs, to ever have a gentle side. I'm sorry, but it's almost impossible to turn a rough and tough and rugged man into all of a sudden, I'm going to go ahead and gentle myself down now and be loved on by this other man. Why am I singing like this?
I don't know. I really don't know.
But you get what I mean though, right? So if you're going to have a bull who's a herd bull that must protect his herd along with anything else he's pastured with, that means sometimes having to fight the bulls next door or defend them at all costs. You want him to be a warrior. And a warrior does not become a warrior this time of day, but all of a sudden at other times of day, coddle down and get loved on. And so for all the folks who disagree with me, it might be great when it comes time to medicating, deworming, and all that kind of stuff. But if you want him to live his best life, he needs to be a bull.
Right here, I'm going to zoom in on all the cows. You know, Pearl is an adult, so she'll end up having the most flies on her. She has a few on the bottom. The other 3 have dang near 0 flies on their entire bodies. You look and you just don't see flies anywhere. I think that right there firsthand just shows how effective the little bovine sock is. You compare that to an untreated cow. Here, I'm gonna go show you a cow that doesn't get the spray treatment, and you can see how many flies are just swarming one of those. Yeah, I'm not afraid of the bigs. I always thought that was silly when people commented that. I am timid, I'm hesitant and cautious around them when it's feed time and they're running around like maniacs. I'm not gonna deny that, but I think anybody would. The notion that I can't take care of them or like I'm incompetent, I thought was just, I always think it's silly when I read those. But no, I love the Longhorns, they're sweet, they're cool. They're good little pets. Not good, not so little pets actually, because they're getting really big. They're growing up right before our very eyes. Jolene's so sweet, you guys. She's literally walking right up to me. My dad's right though. My dad says the most effective way to pet her is to kind of get down low, kind of crouch almost. He calls it getting down to her level. And so you kind of, I'm just gonna slowly kind of crouch over here, and then I'm gonna sit like this, and she's a lot more receptive to it than as if I were standing upright. Because think about in human nature, if there's somebody really tall and you're like having to look up at them like that, that's just naturally very intimidating and very imposing. But if you can kind of have like eye level contact with someone like this, it's a lot more personable, a lot less intimidating. That's just like subconscious. So let's picture myself kind of like from Jolene's point of view. She's about this low, so looking at me, if I'm standing upright, it's looking at someone like that, but looking at me if I'm crouched just like this, it's a no-brainer which one is more comforting.